Good morning. I want to ask you something before we start today. How are you actually holding up? Not the exam, not the syllabus, you. This preparation asks you to stay hopeful and disciplined at the same time, on the same day, and that is not a small thing to manage. This is the Sociology Desk, issue number 56. Today we are taking one very recent Supreme Court development and building it, piece by piece, into a full 20-mark answer for paper 2. Let us get into it. Here is what happened. The Supreme Court has disposed of the batch of petitions challenging the Election Commission's Special Intensive Revision, or SIR, of electoral rolls in Tamil Nadu. This follows directly from the Bihar SIR case, where the court had already upheld the Election Commission's power to conduct this kind of revision. Now, on the surface, this looks like a purely legal or administrative story. But for you, as a sociology optional candidate, this is a gift because it lets you write about citizenship using a live, current, and very defensible piece of evidence instead of a stale textbook example. The first concept you need is a distinction, not a definition. Citizenship is a legal and political status. It makes you an equal member of the state regardless of who you are culturally. Nationality is different. It is a claim of cultural or ethnic belonging. Now, watch what the Special Intensive Revision does. It asks residents to produce documentary proof of lineage and residence to stay on the electoral roll. If you cannot produce that specific paper, your legal citizenship starts to behave like a cultural test of belonging. That collapse of citizenship into a documentary test is exactly what you should be naming in your answer. And it is exactly what most candidates will miss. Now bring in two more moves. Max Weber tells you that bureaucracy is legitimate because it is rule-bound and calculable. But he also warned you that a procedure can be perfectly correct on paper and still produce an outcome that is deeply unjust in substance. That is the gap between formal and substantive rationality. And SIR sits exactly inside that gap. Then bring in Michel Foucault's governmentality, which is simply this. The modern state governs by first making its population countable and knowable through enumeration, registration, categorization. The electoral roll, once it is re-verified through SIR, stops being just a voting list and becomes a register of who the state recognizes as governable population at all. If you anchor only one thinker in this answer, anchor T.K. Oommen. His argument in his own sociological work on citizenship, nationality, and ethnicity is that the modern state persistently confuses the legal status of citizenship with the cultural claim of nationality. And it is precisely this confusion that produces an excluded minority inside what looks like a universal franchise. Write that sentence down. Adapt it in your own words. That single formulation, correctly attributed to Oommen, tells the examiner immediately that you know the intellectual source of your argument, and that is worth real marks. Let me put on the examiner's hat for a moment, because this is the single most important slide today. An average script, sitting around 14 out of 20, will narrate the Bihar and Tamil Nadu litigation at length, mention Foucault's name once, and stop there. A script sitting at 18 or 19 out of 20 does four things differently. First, it opens with the structural claim that the electoral roll has become a site where citizenship is redrawn, not with the case summary. Second, it names Oommen's distinction precisely: citizenship as legal status, nationality as cultural belonging, before it even mentions SIR. Third, it uses the Bihar to Tamil Nadu sequence in exactly one or two sentences as evidence, never as the main story. Fourth, it brings in a counter perspective, for instance, Partha Chatterjee's Political Society, To show the excluded do not simply vanish, they renegotiate their claims informally. And it closes by looking forward toward what this means for the Indian state, not backward at the judgment. Remember this refrain: the event is your evidence, the theory is your destination. Here is your question for today. The special intensive revision of electoral rolls illustrates the collapse of citizenship into a documentary test of belonging. Critically examine this claim using T.K. Oommen's distinction between citizenship and nationality. Give yourself 25 minutes. Open with the structural claim. Build through Oommen, Weber, and Foucault. Use the judgment as evidence in one line, and close with synthesis. Quickly, before you move on, citizenship is a legal status. Nationality is a cultural claim. And the special intensive revision blurs that line by making documentary proof the practical test of belonging. Weber gives you the tension between formal and substantive rationality inside bureaucracy. Foucault gives you governmentality, the state making its population countable so it can govern it. And through all of it, keep the current event to one or two sentences of evidence, never the center of your answer. That is it from me for today. This road is long, and some days it will drain you more than it teaches you. But the fact that you showed up today to watch even 8 minutes of focused preparation is exactly how ranks are actually built. One ordinary day at a time. If you would like the full answer block and model answer for today's topic, and for one more event we did not cover in this video, drop your email in the comments or write to us at team@upscdesk.com and we will share the subscription details. Take care of yourself today.